Hey guys, today I've got for you a battle video with the decks Reshiboar and Gothitelle. I'm on the right and I'm playing Reshiboar, and you can check the article on that, which is now up on ProPokemon, in the description of this video. And it's actually my younger brother who's playing the Gothitelle. He's my main testing partner because we don't really live near anybody else, and he's a good player. He won the state championships in London as a senior last year. He's already started to do well in Masters, so I knew by recording a game with him, there'd be a good contest between us. You also might notice that I'm recording this, and this is the first video I've done with an actual camcorder. When I originally set up the website with the Pro Pokemon store, I mentioned that it would create new money, which I can invest back into the website in different forms, and this is one of them. I'm hoping now that every time I do a deck article, I'm going to actually build the deck myself and record a video and put it up with it, so you guys can just get an idea of how to play it and just do something different to go with it. A lot of you are probably aware as well about the top cut which Puka and other players run in America. And one of the great things they do is they provide a lot of live event coverage with like Twitter feeds and videos of the actual games and interviews with the players from the tournaments. I think this is a really great idea, but we don't really have anything like this in Europe because obviously they just cover American tournaments. So one of the other things I'm going to be doing with this camcorder is going to UK and maybe European tournaments if I can, and just recording top cut games if I can get permission, getting interviews with the top players, and just generally providing a lot more coverage about the events and what's happening. Before I go any further, I just wanted to also mention that the decks which we're playing have a couple of proxies. My brother's Gothitelle has, I think, 2 Tropical Beach, and obviously we don't really feel that they're worth paying for right now, so I think they're proxied as Indigo Plateau, and I think he gets one out a bit later in the game, so you might see that. Also, I have, for Rayquaza Deoxys Legend, I don't know in the top half, so I believe I'm using a Raikou Suicune Legend top half as the Rayquaza Deoxys Legend top half, so you might see that as well, I'm not sure. Yeah, so the game started off pretty well. I've got a decent start, and I've already got my Pignite set up, which is really important against his deck. My main issue I came is, normally the Gothitelle's pretty easy matchup for Reshiboar because you have Badboar, which hits for 150, and if need be, Rayquaza Deoxys Legend as well, but obviously that's weak to Psychic, so it doesn't stay around too long and it's a bit of a gamble. Now, I came across 2 main problems in this game which made it a lot more difficult. One was that I mulliganed, I think, about 2 or 3 times, which made it a lot easier for him to set up, and Gothitelle's a deck that really thrives on big hands early in the game. My other much bigger problem was that, as you're going to see now, I don't have any Tepig left in my deck. I run a 3-2-3 with 2 Inferno Fandango Emboars, but 2 of the Tepig were my prizes. So I have to make a decision whether to set up the Badboar to have an counter to his Gothitelle, which will be eventually have several energy on it, or to go for the Inferno Fandango route. Now the trouble is it's not a very easy option because they're both really important. Under Trainer Lock, it's very difficult for your deck to function as well as it normally does. And obviously having Inferno Fandango, which works anyway, it just helps to keep the deck moving. And if you look at the heavy discard, I can't really go without it. I made the decision to go with the Badboar, which I still think is the right play, but it's not an easy decision either way. At least this way there is something in my deck which can deal with it, and because of the high HP of the Pokemon in Reshiboar, I think he'll be forced to put 4 or 5, maybe more energy on it, and if he loses that, it's a real blow to his resources. So as you can see, he's got a Gothitelle up here, and he's using a really clever strategy which a lot of people don't do. And rather than trying to set everything up, because he runs Superior, Ranculus, and Gothitelle as well, so that's 3 stage 2s, he's just got a Gothitelle active, he's blocking off my trainers, he'll eventually let that die, and all the while he's just building up his bench, and even though he has all these low HP basic Pokemon, there's nothing really I can do because of, I can't play Pokemon Catcher, and obviously I don't play Yamega or anything like that which can snipe them on the bench. So what he'll do is he'll just put several energy on that Gothitelle on the bench and try and find a situation in which I can't KO it. then all he has to do is he can move 120 damage around with Ranculus and be healing 60 damage between turns with Superior. And it gets to a position where he's knocking out whatever I send out, and any attacks I do, unless they're knocking Gothitelle out in one hit, it just healed off straight away, and I'm put in a position where I can't win. So you can see why I went for the bad ball earlier on, even if it does hurt me in a lot of regards later in the game. You can also see with my Reshiboar that I'm running a fairly slow version of the deck. It runs a 2/2 Ninetales and the 1/1 Rayquaza Deoxys Legend. I think there's really two ways you can go with the deck, because I was reading S's Reshiboar article on the deck out, and yeah, it was really good. And I noticed that he didn't play Ninetales, but he was running lots of shuffle draw supporters. And I don't know if there was a Rayquaza Deoxys Legend either, but there was a very low Pokemon count compared to mine. I think, like when David Cohen won Worlds, he ran quite a slow deck. Didn't run any Pokemon Reversal at the time, but lots of heavy hitters. So I really do think it can work either way. Ninetales just helps you a lot out in situations where you're against Trainer Lock, and it helps you to still go through your deck. And the other thing is, between Ninetales, Cheran, Twins, and Engineer's Adjustment, I can accumulate really large hands, and I think near the end of this game I have something like a 15-20 card hand. And aside from Judge and N, which you can continue, just build up again with Ninetales, you just get these huge hands and you have so many options available to you. So as you can see, I have a Reshiram as an option, and I burned his Gothitelle, which is active earlier in the game with Vulpix, which sets him up for a blue flare from Reshiram. So my idea at this point is that I'll blue flare the Gothitelle, force him to send up the second Gothitelle, because he only really has 2 set up, and then I'll bring out the bad ball, KO it, and secure board control from there, and eventually take the game. It really comes down to energy resources at this point, because he's aware of what I'm trying to do. He's trying to get the energy on board to retreat the active Gothitelle, capture out my bad ball, and KO that, and in turn he knows he's won the game at that point. Now, at this point I've had a few turns of energy drought, because the trouble is, even though it runs a high energy count, you have to make the decision whether to discard them with Ninetales because you have a bad hand to begin with, or attach them to your Pokemon and hope you draw something. I think this runs 13 energy alongside a Fisherman and a Super Rod. Now I put the Super Rod in, which is reprint and night maintenance, because it gives me that option if need be to get back, say, a couple of Tepig or something like that if they were knocked out early on and I need them back. Obviously the trouble is, against Gothitelle, Super Rod doesn't work because it's a trainer, so you really need that Fisherman to hit for energy to make the most of them. Unfortunately, because of a bad hand early on, I had to use it, just getting 2 energy back for Roast Reveals to try and keep me in the game. So I'm struggling a bit with energy, and I'm not drawing into what I need to. Aside from Engineers is reliant on me having energy, and the other draw supporter which I run, Twins, is also reliant on me being behind in prizes. Now, because of the variant of Reshiboar which I'm using does often go behind in prizes, it's quite a nice play, and it allows me to play lots of like 2 or 1-off trainers and then run a Junkum engine to search out what I need and get them back repeatedly, like Evilite or Pokemon Catch, which I only run 2 of each. However, he is also using a Twins engine, so he's happy to take his time and build up that Gothitelle. As you can see, I think it's now got 6 energy on, and that's hitting for, I believe, 150 damage, which means he can knock out anything in the board, and he's just captured out my Emboar, which is going to make a really big impact to the course of the game. Now at this point I'm pretty much in trouble, because there's nothing I have in the deck which can take it out in one hit. I have an option of my only real option is to try and draw that Tepig at this point and make something of the game. I did draw a prize, as you can see earlier, from the walled Gothitelle. I was really hoping from that I could draw one of the Tepigs, but I didn't. So they're still in my prizes, and at this point I'm really struggling to keep up with him. My only other option would have been to try and burn him with a Vulpix and then follow that up with the blue flare, but I had to evolve them to Ninetales earlier on because I had that bad hand. I was struggling and just needed the draw. So partly because of my bad hand I've been put into this difficult situation, but I've also suffered with the prizes I've drawn, and yeah, just those two Tapu Beam prizes really killed this game. At this point I twins in my deck and just kind of see what options I have, but it's really not looking good for me, and I survey the board, don't think I can win and eventually offer the scoop. Thanks for watching guys, and don't forget that the link to the article's in the description of this video, so check it out and let me know what you think.